In this demonstration we're going to look at installing ViewComposer. Now ViewComposer gets installed on the Virtual Center server. It has to be the Windows Virtual Center server, not the virtual appliance that we can get with vSphere 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to install it on the Virtual Center server, and the purpose of this ViewComposer component is to allow us to use the link clone technology to rapidly create desktop images from a parent image. And the link clone technology is based off of mature VMware vSphere products. So as I've already mentioned, VMware ViewComposer gets installed onto the Virtual Center server system, and it enables the connection server administrators to clone and deploy multiple desktops from a single centralized based image. So what we need to do first off is we just actually need to add the System DSN. So we'll come into Admin Tools, we'll come to our data sources, select System DSN, verify we've got one here for the Virtual Center server already, select Add, and what we're going to do is go for the SQL native client. So we'll select Finish at this point here. And on this little page here, in the case of the name, what we're going to do here is we're going to call this Composer DB. In the case of the description, we'll just call this the ViewComposer database. And in the case of the server itself, we're just going to select local, because I'm using SQL Express sitting on my Virtual Center server. So yeah, there's local. We'll then select our next button. Just in the case for how should SQL Server verify the authenticity of login, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to accept the default with the integrated Windows authentication and select Next. Then in the case of change the default database, I'm just going to come in here, change the default database to be my ViewComposer database and select Next. Then what I'll do is I'll just select Finish. I'll test my data source, and yet my tests are completed successfully. Now what I could have done as part of this SQL Server ODBC setup is I could have pointed it to an external SQL database, which is best practice. So we'll select OK at this point. Just finish all of this off. The next thing I need to do now is actually install VMware ViewComposer. So all we'll do is I shall just go through to my file share and then just authenticate to my file share. And select OK. Right, we're just going to come to my VMware View 5 files. We're going to come down to the ViewComposer software, and we're just going to run the setup file. Right, we'll select Run. This will just run through the pre-wizard. Now ViewComposer requires Microsoft.NET 3.5 Service Pack 1 or above, so if necessary the ViewComposer will install or will prompt me to actually install the application before it continues. Okay, we'll select Next, read the patent agreement, select Next, accept the license terms. After reading through the license agreement and select Next, specify the location of the ViewComposer software. And now what we need to do here is, just in the case of my ODB setup, all I need to do is just enter the data source name, which is the source that I created earlier. Right, so put in the Composer DB, I'll put in administrator, and I'll put in the password, so we'll select Next. Now in the case of the SOAP port, what the SOAP port's used for is this is the ViewComposer port setting, so we'll just accept the default, and this is for communication purposes. Now what we'll do is we'll just select Install, and we'll just leave this running. So what we'll do here is we'll return back the wizard once the installation is complete. Right, all done, so we'll select Finish, and that is the ViewComposer component installed. The next thing we'll need to do here is just enable it through the View Administrator, and that'll be in a later demo. So that's the end of this demonstration of installing the ViewComposer. Thank you very much.